What I will say is this. I also like the fact that you're bringing in guys that have had a ton of responsibility before. With Mike McCarthy out in Dallas, there was a big wonder on what was going to happen with a lot of the staff that they had over there with their new search for a head coach. Well, Al Harris has become the latest to exit that organization. He has agreed to terms with the Chicago Bears to join as their passing game coordinator for 2025 and beyond, tapped by incoming head coach Ben Johnson, returning to the familiar confines of the NFC North, where he spent 8 seasons of his All-Pro and Pro Bowl career with the Green Bay Packers. So there's some double agent action going on there, ladies and gentlemen. A little double agent action going on there. But when you talk about him, he was a DB's coach down there. I mean, you talk about, again, guys that he has developed. He's worked with the guys like Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland in Dallas. Both of them have been record-setting Pro Bowl cornerbacks in their time down there. He's been the guy who went out and found Jordan Lewis and helped him get to an All-Pro level back in 2024. Like, again, guys with skins on their wall who set a standard. I know that Dallas had a full step back season this year, which is why these guys are no longer there this season. But you're bringing in somebody who has, again, NFL experience. You're bringing in somebody who, again, is being looked at as a I mean, for Mike McCarthy, he was the assistant head coach. That means that you're talking about him being one of those top guys who can deal with the responsibility, just like what you're bringing Antoine Randall in here to do. I think this, again, is another really good hire for the Bears, bringing in guys with experience, bringing in guys who understand what it's like to have a heavy workload and have guys that they have brought in. You can clearly see them and that they have been able to go out there and develop them. I do think that it's a little interesting that he's dealing with being the passing game coordinator, now going on the other side of the ball, but you got to know how the passing game works to be able to defend it. He was a phenomenal DB at the NFL level. I think that he was solid. All pro. All pro.
Phenomenal is like
all pro.
Dion.
I didn't say he was a Hall of Famer. No.
You said phenomenal. You said phenomenal.
All pro's pretty good.
Dion's a guy.
He's good.
Pretty good.
Dion's
solid. Solid.
No, you gonna disrespect? He just got here. You disrespected him already.
Oh my god!
He just got here, Joe.
He said phenomenal. I remembered watching him. He was good.
Phenomenal. I remember watching him. No, what do you guys think about the hire of Al Harris coming in and kind of this coaching staff as a whole as it's rounding out here to start?
I think that what I like is if he's building it out from the top. You got the head coach, you got the assistant head coach. So we're getting things in place. You know, if it's being tiered a certain way, and if you got your assistant head coach, you got your passing game coordinator. So that's creating a structure. I guess we're going to need to see a running game, the running game coordinator. We're going to need to see our O-line coach. We're going to need to see, probably tight ends coach, like all those things kind of, in succession. And we're still waiting to hear back about this DC. But I mean, to me, it's all fine on paper. We got to see what happens when we get the results.
You got to see it play out.
But I mean, it's nice. I mean, cool. I think the names, I like hearing the names of these guys versus like, who the heck is this? Like, you feel better knowing like, okay, yeah, I can get behind that guy because
I think
he got some skin in the game.
Here's the thing though, right? And Ringo, you can comment on this. Like, these aren't cheap guys. These aren't, hey, that's my buddy that was over there with me. Antoine Randall cost a bag.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about Al Harris. Al Harris was given a promotion and extra money to stay with that franchise. If you look at Dallas fans right now, they are like, oh, dang it. That's a guy we did not need to lose.
No,
here
he was also an assistant head coach. We have two guys that are assistant head coaches or
but I mean
that's great.
But if you also look at the names that Pat mentioned, Jordan Lewis, Dog, Trayvon Diggs, even though sometimes he be getting cooked. Dog.
He getting cooked sometimes.
Deron Bland.
He'll let you get past him.
Yeah. Deron Bland, Dog as well. So it's literally every stop that he's been to, it's like, hey, these guys are good. How great do you want to be?
But the point is that they are respected to a point that you are made an assistant.
Absolutely.
You're elevated. So it's two guys that have been elevated to assistant head coach. If you get Dennis Allen, that is a former head coach. Like, we're getting top guys that have experience, and that's always been my issue. My whole knock on Ben Johnson was, we're gonna get a rookie head coach. He got to figure out how to play head coach. You got two guys that's been part of that process, that's been part as an assistant head coach. So Randall L was technically tiered right around where Ben Johnson is at OC. But Randall L's under Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell. You know what I'm saying? So there's a certain level of just.
Oh no, he wasn't an assistant.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. Al Harris was the assistant head.
Yes.
So, and now this guy's being promoted, but the idea is that there's enough respect that they can command, and that gives you some experience in terms of like in this room, in this coaching staff. It's going to be an expensive coaching staff. This probably might be what, a $30 million a year coaching staff.
I said this, and you got to add in Flus's money as well. You might be talking about spending $40 million on your coaching staff.
But you get what you pay for,
right? Like you and 100%. And that's my thing, right? You look at your previous coaching staff, not to say there weren't some solid names on there. I like Thomas Brown as an offensive coordinator. I liked him as a quarterbacks coach, even though he didn't get a lot of love in there as the quarterbacks coach. But like you look at guys like that, you can get them in there on the cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We had an $8 million coaching staff last year, Pat. What do you want to do?
That you had what'd you have? We had 8, 10.
I think Flus was 5. Was he 5?
And no, Flus was 8. Flus was 8.
Was he $8 million? Okay.
Flus was getting 8. Yeah, 8, 10, 12. You probably had like a
13 and a half,
$18 million coaching staff. I'll tell you this right now. We've hired 2 position coaches and an assistant head coach. We might already be at 20.
Yeah. No, more than that. Because
if you include Flus's money,
I'm hearing he's 13 or 15, somewhere in that range.
That range. You also got to include you're still paying Flus this year, so you're still paying him on the books.
Yeah, we get that.
Well.
But when he's gone,
because you can't, because that's the difference in this. That's why I said this is different for the McCaskies. Like the video, if you agree with this, you're paying a coach $8 million.
Sit at home.
And we're talking about you building a coaching staff that without the $8 million, you also got to pay all these assistants. I don't know how much was on their contracts. I don't know how many years was left, right? You let a lot of guys go. You have to pay all of them.
Probably like 2 years on some of these guys.
More than likely, right? You have to pay all of them.
Mm-hmm.
George McCaskey is allowing them to go out and spend money while still paying dudes that ain't putting in no work.
Yeah.
That's new.
But that's called bad.
Different.
But that's also paying for bad decisions. Like, he understands that. That's bad money. Like, a lot of these coaches, a lot of these owners are doing that. There's guys that are paying.
But he ain't never understood that. That's
why I can't give him any. I get that, but he's like Kevin Warren's like, look,
he's got to pay 2025 now.
I mean, like I said, over the time, like you get what you pay for. Like I said, I've been in IT background for years. I can remember where you had cheap CFOs and they want a penny pinch. And it's like, look, first of all, you're driving me crazy because that means I can only buy some of the cheaper equipment. Now I got to come back. This stuff is either outdated, doesn't work within a year, and now we're going to spend more money. You just do it right, spend a little bit more. So it's the same principle. You get what you pay for. And so shout out for Georgia finally figuring that out. I mean, really, to me, it sounds like they really actually want to win. Yeah. They don't care. Most of these owners don't care. As long as ticket sales are winning, as long as the TV contracts are coming in.
Hey, Joe, take a second. Let it breathe. Over 1,500.
1,500.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. If you're just getting in here, Chicago Bears hired Antoine Randall as their assistant head coach and wide receivers coach, and also hired Al Harris as their passing game coordinator. Go ahead, Joe, finish out your point.
Well, I'm just saying that it's nice to see that it took you forever to figure out. First of all, it's a drop in the bucket. You guys are billionaires. $30 million is nothing to a billionaire. That is, it is a small, minute amount of money. So the fact is, like, you had to figure out, like, look, you bring in the guy that you want. I mean, shout out to Kevin Warren. That's all I got to say. Shout out to Kevin Warren, because there's no way this is getting done if Ted Phillips was there. I think that if Ryan Poles did not have this dude, his hands is tied. He's going up there. They're not going to do that. So, no, I'm excited to see that. I want to see this payoff of this offensive, brain trust that they're putting in place.
Yeah.
And to see we should see something, But like again, I'm waiting on my offensive line stuff. That's probably the one we're going to be most excited about is where our O-line coach is.
Well, I think what does scare me a little bit here is it seems like we missed out on Hank Fraley. He was the offensive coordinator choice. I was excited about that because of what you just brought up, the O-line coach. Again, we talked about this earlier, but Tom Pelissero tweeted this out that the Lions are promoting Hank Fraley to run game coordinator, offensive line coach per sources, an important piece of the puzzle staying in Detroit as Dan Campbell remodels his staff following the departure of both coordinators. We